War usually sounds loud, engines roaring, artillery thundering, radios buzzing. But on one road in eastern Ukraine, the deadliest weapon arrived in silence. A Ukrainian armoured truck rumbled forward, its crew confident. They carried electronic jammers, the kind that fry incoming suicide drones before they ever get close. And then it happened. A drone appeared, flying low, dragging something strange behind it. Not a radio signal, not GPS, but a thin black cord snaking back across the dirt. The soldiers cranked their jammers to maximum. Static filled the air, but nothing happened. The drone didn't falter, it didn't blink, it kept coming. Because this wasn't an ordinary weapon. This was a drone on a leash, a fiber-optic umbilical cord, immune to jamming, unstoppable until it struck. And when it slammed into the truck, the explosion tore the vehicle apart in seconds. The silence was over. What was this weapon? And why are soldiers calling it the drone you cannot jam? The war in Ukraine has been called many things. The first TikTok war, the first drone war, the return of trench warfare to Europe. But more than anything else, it has been a laboratory. A place where old tactics clash with new machines. Where soldiers adapt, improvise and invent at a pace the world hasn't seen since World War II. At the start, drones were toys. Cheap quadcopters buzzing over trenches, dropping grenades on unlucky soldiers. Within months, they became eyes in the sky, guiding artillery, spotting tanks, watching every move. Then came the suicide drones, Shaheds from Iran, buzzing like mopeds across the night sky. FPV drones, first-person view racing drones converted into flying bombs. Soldiers strapped grenades, mines, even RPG warheads to them. Suddenly, nowhere was safe. Electronic warfare was supposed to be the answer. Jammers blanketed the air with interference. Radios crackled and died. GPS signals vanished. In some sectors, both sides fought blind because the air was so thick with electronic noise. For a while, it worked. Convoys rolled out carrying powerful jamming systems. If a drone came close, it would lose signal, drop out of the sky, crash harmlessly. The soldiers inside could breathe, at least a little. But war has a cruel way of punishing predictability. Every defense invites a new offense. That's when the silence began. Reports trickled in. Drones that ignored jammers. Drones that flew steadily even as the air around them was saturated with interference. Crews swore their systems were working. The lights were green. The signal was blasting, and yet the drones kept coming. It wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It was fiber optics. Picture it. A drone with a cable trailing behind, spooling out like fishing line as it flies. That line carries commands directly from the operator. No radio waves, no signals to jam. Just raw physical connection. Unjammable. Unstoppable. Silent. For the first time in months, Ukrainian crews realized their shield had holes. One soldier described it like this. You feel naked. Before you trusted the jammer. You heard the buzzing, you thought, okay, we're safe. Now you hear the buzzing and you know, maybe not. Silence on the battlefield once meant safety. No signals, no drones, no threat. Now, silence meant death. It happened on a grey morning somewhere along a battered supply route in the Donbass. The kind of road where every pothole hides shrapnel and every tree line hides eyes. A small Ukrainian convoy was moving east. Trucks carrying ammunition. A pair of armoured vehicles escorting. The soldiers inside were tense but confident. Their jammers were humming, spreading an invisible shield around them. They had been told, if drones come, the jammers will fry them. Trust the system. The lead driver spotted movement in the sky. A drone, small, darting low, flying with a purpose. The gunner swiveled, ready to shoot it down. The jammer crew switched frequencies, pumping static into the ether. But the drone didn't drop. It didn't twitch. Instead, it descended. And that's when they saw it. The line. A black, fiber-optic cable trailing behind it, coiling along the ground as it advanced. At first, the soldiers didn't believe it. A cable? Out here? Impossible. But then the realization hit. The drone wasn't listening to the air. It was listening to the wire. One of the men cursed, screaming to open fire. Bullets cracked into the dirt. The drone bobbed, swerved, but stayed on course. Seconds later, impact. The explosion ripped through the lead vehicle. Shards of steel and fire engulfed the convoy. Men were thrown from their seats. Smoke rolled across the road. The survivors scrambled for cover, firing blindly into the haze. But the drone was already gone, or rather, destroyed in the blast it had caused. Later, investigators found the wreckage, twisted metal, burned electronics, and there, among the debris, the proof, a length of black fiber-optic cable, spooled from a reel. The ambush was devastating. But worse than the damage was the fear. Word spread quickly. Russia had drones you couldn't jam. For frontline soldiers, it was like hearing ghosts were real. One survivor recalled, "We trusted the jammer like it was armor. That day we realized it was paper. The drone just ignored it, like we weren't even trying. Psychologically, it was shattering. A defense soldiers relied on, gone in a single blast. And if one convoy could be hit, any convoy could be hit. Suddenly every mission along those dirt roads felt like walking into a trap. So how does it work? Fiber-optic drones are simple in concept, terrifying in effect. Instead of relying on radio signals, vulnerable to jamming, the drone carries a reel of fiber-optic cable. As it flies, the cable unspools behind it, keeping a direct physical link back to the operator. Think of it like a kite, only the string doesn't just hold it, it controls it. That cable can stretch for miles. Operators guide the drone with pinpoint accuracy, free from interference. The signal is fast, secure, and crystal clear. And best of all for the attackers, it's invisible to defenders. No radio waves to detect, no beacons to trace, just silence, until the drone is already on top of you. For soldiers on the ground, it feels like fighting an enemy with a ghost weapon. You can hear it buzzing, but your tools do nothing. You can shoot if you see it, but hitting a small darting drone under fire, easier said than done. The Russians didn't invent the concept. Militaries have experimented with fiber-optic guidance for decades, torpedoes, missiles, even early UAVs. But in Ukraine, they scaled it down, adapted it to the cheap FPV drones flooding the battlefield. The result? An army of flying bombs immune to electronic warfare. Ukrainian commanders nicknamed them drones on a leash. Soldiers called them worse. Some said the leash looked like a vein pumping death down the line. Others joked darkly, "Cut the cord, save your life." But cutting that cord isn't easy. It drags across the ground, hiding in grass, mud, rubble. By the time you see it, the drone has already chosen you. One analyst compared it to the arrival of the German V-1 rockets in World War II. At first, people thought they could defend against them. Then they realized you couldn't, not reliably. That's what the fiber-optic drones represent, a weapon that changes the rules. Because once soldiers know their jammers don't protect them, every road, every convoy, every mission becomes a gamble. Fear spreads faster than fire, and that fear was exactly the point.